Hi there, good afternoon. This is incredible Matera, the stone city of southern Italy. On a quite cold day, 1st of March, so spring is at least kind of around the corner a little bit. Quite a different day from yesterday when there was some nice bright sunshine and it warmed things up a bit. But I'm going to brave the cold and do some more wandering around this just absolutely fascinating ancient city here. One of the oldest continuously inhabited cities in the world. Out there you can see the caves embedded into that mountain there. I explored there yesterday. History there that goes back thousands and thousands and thousands of years. Older there, the caves, than the old town here, but the history here is very ancient as well. An absolute maze of cobblestone streets and stone buildings, many of which are basically cave structures. Some of them, of course, as you can see, built out of stone blocks. Decaying buildings. But it is in much better condition than in the recent past, going back to 1952, when the city was occupied by people who had lived here for hundreds, thousands of years. And then the town here had turned into basically a poverty-stricken city of destitution and disease, people living alongside their animals. It was called the Shame of Italy, and the government finally decided to force people to move out. More modern homes were built, and everyone was forced to leave this whole area, which is a large area, as you will be seeing in the course of this video as I just wander for a while through the streets here. And so the people were forced to move out. The old city was abandoned and just decayed and became overgrown and falling apart. And then in the 1980s, then they realized that this had tourist potential and that it actually had beauty and, of course, lots of history to be proud of. And so they started restoring and cleaning up, and now it is this just totally amazing city and a piece of Italian history and Roman history and Greek history and various other empires. A stark and simple beauty, but very, very unique. Look at that. It feels very much like stepping back into the deep past. The Byzantine era, the Roman era, the ancient Greek era. So, my understanding of the specific history of Matera kind of ends there. It is the usual phases of history throughout Italy and the Mediterranean in general. But in this video, I basically just want to walk and show the streets. But I figure might as well talk about something while I'm doing it. So I'm going to try to keep it fairly relevant to the location. And so I wanted to start off talking about basically Italy in general and how my eyes have really been opened on this last trip of mine of just how amazing, how incredible, how vast the land of Italy is in terms of how much there is packed into this boot sticking out into the Mediterranean Sea. I just keep finding out about more and more places to explore. Okay, so we have a steep uphill climb, but there are some cool things to check out that I haven't been to yet. Santa Maria de Armenis, Piazza Pascoli, Palazzo. So let's go for it, see where this one goes. So this is my 5th time to Italy in 32 years. My first time was in 1990 on my first international adventure as an 18-year-old hitchhiking, backpacking around Europe. I spent almost no time in Italy. I was in Paris. It was end of May. It was cold and rainy, and I wanted to get some sun, so I decided to head for Greece. More about Greece soon. In this video, I mean. But I just took a train from Paris, several trains, and went all the way from Paris to Brindisi, which is nearby here. Haven't been back there since that trip in 1990. It would be interesting to revisit, and maybe I will, because tomorrow I'm planning to rent a car and go exploring further south from here. And so on that first trip, then I just took a train without stopping all the way down to Brindisi and took a ferry across to Greece. After a month in Greece, then I took a ferry back to Italy. I can't remember if it was Brindisi or it might have been, I think it was probably maybe Bari or something. And from there, went to Venice for a few days. And then that was it. And then I didn't come back to Italy until 2017, when I just went to Naples and Rome. So this is kind of getting into the more modern area, which is not what I want to do. I'm trying to decide which way to go from here. I haven't been further that way, so I think that I will head in this direction. Let's get this view again. So I came back to Italy in 2019. It was another kind of quick trip in which I flew into Perugia, an interesting city. Look at that. So let's try to kind of get out there. And then I was on a mission to visit a friend in France with limited time because I was meeting up with her on her days off. And so I did this like fly through Italy from Perugia to Florence to Pisa to Geneva. And then last year I came back and went into the Alps of northern Italy. I had heard about Matera here by that time and was very curious to visit it, but I was in the north, Matera's in the south, so I didn't make it here then. I absolutely loved the Dolomites, the Italian Alps. Just a beautiful, beautiful area. But on this trip, I'm kind of realizing the extent of how much there is to see. I've discovered so many new places that I want to check out still, even though I basically want to move on fairly soon to some other places. But I've decided to rent a car tomorrow. For one thing, the weather is supposed to be better for the next couple of days, and get south of here down towards the heel of Italy and do some exploring of some of the like coastal towns and stuff around there, where it will be quite a bit warmer. We are in the interior here, up in the mountains, and so that is why it is so chilly. It is just like biting cold. It's around like 40 degrees Fahrenheit or so, 5 or 6 Celsius, but a wet cold and a bit of wind. And so as you can see, this old town is just filled with these architectural wonders. I mean, look at this, these cool skulls. Why exactly skulls and what do you call that, sand timer thing? On what is, I assume to be a church. Again, more skulls and a interesting symbol there. More skulls, a big one there. So this is like a some sort of a kind of ominous building. So Chiesa Church Purgatorio. Okay, there you go. The Purgatory Church of Matera. Wow. And so, point being, just I'm really realizing in a deeper way how phenomenal Italy really is. How much there is to see and how unique and deep the history is here. I believe that I am now in the Piazza Duomo. The main square. So for this kind of a place to just be abandoned and kind of dismissed and set aside like it was worthless or whatever for decades is so strange, you know, but it's kind of all relative. At the time, they were looking to the future more, I'm sure. The 50s, it's time to kind of get out of the past, the Stone Age, so to speak, and move on into modern buildings. Let's take a look at the artwork here. Starting to rain a little bit, but going to press on into the cold and the wet. Okay, I'm getting oriented here. I know where I am. And so I wanted to jump into another topic, which is the Italian history and history of the region to the extent that I know it, which is Not a whole lot. I am certainly no historian, no expert on the Mediterranean, on the Roman Empire, the Greek Empire. Okay, I've never gone down this way. Duomo Cathedral that way. I've been there. That is spectacular. But I haven't been down this way yet. So let's go for it. We are here on Via Duomo. Let's get back into the smaller winding lanes. Find some of the falling apart buildings. Okay, this is going to be a tough call right here, left or right. I believe that that is the main cathedral there. Okay, I don't have to choose left or right. I can go straight. Let's go for it. Get down there. In a way, it's really interesting with the overcast weather, the rain, the cold brings about that just kind of eerie, surreal, a little bit dark, just winter feeling, ambiance of dreariness, but kind of mysterious, mystical vibes. So here you can just kind of get an impression, an idea of what it might have been like here in 1950 when this town was fully occupied by people who had been here for generations and were living in places like that. I guess that's actually a residence home or a stable for animals or whatever, but you're seeing the leftovers of that phase of history here with buildings that might not have been touched hardly since 1952. So, Italian history, Greek history. So, I'm going to start off with an experience of mine when I bought a coin in Turkey at the Roman ruins, also multiple phases of history there, but Side, Turkey, really incredible ruins there, and this guy that was just like hanging out there, and a woman who he might have known, been married to, I don't know, but anyways, there was a man, there was a woman, and this guy came up to me and showed me this coin that he was offering to sell. Now, just to address the issue of should you or I or anyone buy coins in Turkey, potentially taking artifacts out of a country, well, there are lots of shops in Turkey where you can go buy coins. So it's not like coins are categorically prized ancient artifacts that are not allowed to be taken from the country. They are, in many cases, souvenirs that you can take. So just keeping that in mind, somebody offers to sell me a coin. I have no idea if it's real or fake. Of course, I'm considering the possibility it could be fake, but it's also just really beautiful, and I'm just kind of like a little bit mesmerized by it. And so, speaking of ancient history, look at what I bought from that guy. For 150 lira, $20. And I think that that is Greek right there. And so I buy it for 20 bucks. Fake or real, it's not too much money to spend on a pretty cool souvenir. And then I post a photo of it on Instagram and ask people, what do you think? What is this thing? Is it real? Is it a, hoax? And I get lots of great feedback and ultimately conclude that this coin that is about that big around, dark brown, so Syracuse is a city in New York State in the US, but of course it is named after the ancient city of Syracuse, which is on Sicily, here in Italy. However, it was a Greek city. And so that coin kind of literally and figuratively connects Turkey, Greece, and Italy. I got the coin in Turkey. It's representing a coin from the city of Syracuse in modern-day Italy, but that city was actually a Greek city. And so this just kind of gives you a little glimpse into the history of this region of the Mediterranean, obviously the Roman Empire stretching all around the Mediterranean region, and the intertwining of the Greek and Roman cultures in so many different ways, including here in Matera. So there are many sites here from the Byzantine era. The Byzantine Empire is one that really fascinates me, and I look forward to learning more about it. The general idea is that the Byzantine Empire was the continuation of the Roman Empire after it fell. After the Roman Empire fell apart, dissolved from what it had been for centuries. But of course the people lived on, the traditions and beliefs and ways of living didn't just disappear. And so the Byzantine Empire was kind of this conglomeration of Roman and Greek, which had been interconnected anyways already throughout history, with so many sites being Greek and then later Roman and then later Byzantine, which was a very Christian empire. The incredible frescoes in Cappadocia, Turkey, Christian, Greek images of the life of Christ, and also here in the little cave church that I showed in my previous video, which I couldn't film inside. But that Byzantine Empire lasted for around 1,000 years, until, of course, the fall of Constantinople. Present-day Istanbul. And you can go there and see amazing Greek ruins in Istanbul. See more of the caves there. Really interesting looking three-windowed cave. I really want to get over there. I was seeing it from the other side where I explored out there, but then there's another deep, long ravine. So I'm going to get over to the other side of this big old building here, and then see if there's another way across that canyon over to those other caves. And pardon me if I'm not explaining much about the history of these particular buildings that I'm seeing. Basically, the idea with this video is I just wanted to wander around and ramble on about some sort of related stuff, history, the bit that I know, you know, which isn't especially comprehensive, but just kind of giving a little impression, some basic info about, you know, the civilizations that were here, the different phases of the history, and, you know, these civilizations that were the founding ideas and philosophy and ways of life of Western civilization as we know it now. Coming out of the Greeks first, and then the Romans were later, after the pinnacle of the Greek Empire civilization, when the Parthenon was built, and Plato and Aristotle and Socrates were walking the earth, and then how that trickled down and affected the Romans, and then the Romans affected the Greeks, and back and forth. Because the Roman Empire in particular I find to be a bit more controversial in my mind, as far as their tactics, their injustices, you know, against the Jews, Israelites, their domination of so many different parts of the world. Of course, the Greeks did this as well. Alexander the Great, Greek Macedonian military commander who conquered so much of the world at that time. But kind of after that phase of conquering, there seemed to be less of the interest in trying to take over more and more land, and this kind of became more of the Roman mentality of expanding and conquering and subduing and imposing their ideals onto other cultures. But I still find the Roman civilization and history just super fascinating, and there's so much value in what they were doing as well, from the incredible architecture that they developed and the systems that they had of organizing cities and keeping records, detailed records of events. Okay, well, this seems to be getting into the modern city once again. Let's get around the corner, get past the Bobcat, see if there's anything else interesting down this way. Certainly it is all pretty interesting, but as you can see, less of the old buildings. So, Roman Empire was a mixed bag, of course, of good and evil, but there is certainly a lot to be admired in many of their works of architecture and art and philosophy and their conception of justice at the time, which was certainly highly imperfect. I can't help but, as I wander through these sort of ruined places, try to imagine, what it was really like, what it was actually like to be in an amphitheater of Romans watching gladiatorial combat, or watching plays, or discussing philosophy, or debating how to handle this particular situation, an invading army, or the sewers are getting clogged up, or dealing with criminals and all this kind of stuff. Like, to be able to sit somewhere and watch that happening would be just so fascinating. Okay, well, I'm going to end this clip for now and try to figure out if there's a way that I can get across the ravine and check out those caves. So that is the St. Augustine Church, built from the 16th to the 18th centuries. I'm still trying to figure out how to get down into the canyon, but this is quite a view.